Guys, thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it. We did open this up to just a general audience. We're going to record it as well. So anybody that doesn't get on tonight, I think we have like 155 register, and then we'll share it after the fact. But the way we kind of described it to these guys here is basically you got 5 big leaguers. They're going to give their point of view on questions. We have 8 questions that we polled different college coaches, different high school coaches, and we just felt that we wanted these 8 questions to get asked. If we have time, we'll open it up, and when we do that, you can just send the messages through chat, and we'll kind of panel through it and pick one and ask. But I'm going to have each guy. I have Coach Conner here. He's our hitting coach with the Canes national team. He's been with me for 10 years. He's the head coach at Powhatan High School. That's right outside of Richmond, Virginia. How many wins, Coach?
500 and some.
500 wins, the high school coach. So that's pretty impressive, and we're real fortunate to have him on our staff and on this call tonight. But I'm just going to start here at the bottom of the screen and then work up. So Brandon Lowe here. I just want, again, if you could just say where you're from, kind of your where you went to college, if you did, your journey to now.
Yeah, from Suffolk, Virginia, and was kind of one of the first teams I feel like came over with the Canes. But went to college at the University of Maryland, spent 3 years there, and then was drafted in 2015. Played a couple years in the minor leagues and debuted in 2018.
Appreciate it. And then Jake Cave here on the left here.
Yeah, I'm from Hampton, Virginia. Played for the Canes back in the day. Was drafted in 2011. Played with Broomy and Chad and went through I was drafted by the Yankees, went through the Yankees organization, got traded in 2018 to the Twins, and I've been with the Twins since then.
Dad?
Chad Pinder, from Pocosin, Virginia. Played with the Canes from like 2006 to 2010. Went to Virginia Tech, was there for 3 years, got drafted in 2013. Then made my debut with the Oakland A's in 2016.
Remy?
What's going on, guys? Ryan McBroom, graduated high school in 2010. Went on to play college baseball at West Virginia University, go Mountaineers. Traded to the Royals in 2019 and got called up in September of 2019.
Appreciate it. Joe? Last but not least.
Joe Adell from Louisville, Kentucky. I went to Ballard High School, played with the Canes. It's funny, I was actually a pitcher only when I joined the Canes. It's funny how things switched. But got drafted by the Angels in 2017 and debuted last year.
Awesome, guys. I appreciate it. So the first question, and what we're going to do here is we'll go in the same order for this question, but then we can switch it up as we go, however it works. But basically, what are you doing in the off season? What strength, agility, hitting, obviously, but also another thing, nutrition. And to tell the truth, I mean, some guys can eat whatever they want and stay in playing shape. Other guys really do hone in on the nutrition. You just touch on all 4 of those things: strength, agility, nutrition, and hitting.
Yeah, so for strength purposes, I don't take a whole lot of time off once the season ends. I maybe take a week off once the season ends, and I'm back in the weight room 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and then take Saturday and Sunday off. And really just trying to build muscle mass in any way possible. We have a strength coach on staff with my agency that we're working out with, and he kind of helps us get through everything. And then agility kind of plays into that. There's different, supersets in our workout that we'll do that play on the agility part. Hitting, I take a pretty good chunk of time off from hitting. Once the season ends, I kind of don't want to see a bat for a little while. So I won't start hitting until probably December. And then with the nutrition, I'm one of those people that I can't keep weight on. So if it's in front of me, I'm going to eat it, and I need to eat a lot of it. So I'm not too focused on what I'm eating. I'm just making sure that I'm eating a lot and keeping the weight on.
On your hitting, like right now, how many days a week would you say you're hitting now?
We've probably cranked it up to 4 to 5 days a week.
On your Saturday, Sunday off days, you say you take those days off. I mean, are those days you just relax from everything?
Yeah, I'm
right, makes
sense. No workout, no hitting, just recovering from the week that just happened.
I appreciate it, B. Jake, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, it's all different. You know, Brandon was talking about like time after the year. As far as me, you know, coming off an abbreviated year like we just had, and I didn't play every day. I was getting into stuff pretty quick, working out and stuff like that, pretty quick. You know, I just want to be being an outfielder. I just want to be as strong and as fast as possible. So, yeah, I mean, working out, got a little program, training in a couple of different places, which is pretty cool. We went out to Colorado for a little while, so like I got to train in a cool spot out there in Colorado, and then at the same time we would like climb mountains, not climb mountains, but like hike up mountains and stuff like that. So I got to do some cool stuff like that. And then I started hitting when I was out there. Yeah, I'm hitting a lot right now. I'm hitting like 5 days a week. But it's not like a ton of like, it's not always max effort. You know, I'm doing a lot of one hand drills, stuff like that. Seeing some machines, some over the hand stuff like that. Yeah. So, I mean,
not to interrupt you, but you bring up
yeah.
the machine, and that's kind of a hot topic right now with people. How do you feel about hitting off a machine? I mean, is that something that some people would say that that's not a good thing? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all preference. I mean, I think just about everything hitting wise is preference, because I've seen a lot of good hitters do a lot of different things. But as far as the machine, I really just want to see it for velocity. I know I'm not going to be able to do my same like leg kick and do all this stuff with the machine, but if I can just see something, you know, coming at me, then it's not going to be as big of a surprise when spring training comes around. Or if I'm using the machine, if I haven't started a game and I'm going to come in for a pinch hit in the 8th or 9th, sometimes it's tough to get geared back up again. So if you just have some machine, to me, that's straight, you know, I want it to be accurate because I'm not looking to break my bat in there. I just want to see something that I can get some solid swings off of before I see 95 in the game or something.
And I interrupted you before you were about to jump into nutrition. I know you take that pretty seriously, don't you?
Yeah, but I'm kind of like Brandon too. Like I'm always trying to just keep weight on. So I try to eat my things that are important throughout the day. You know, make sure I'm eating whatever supplements I want to take, whatever protein goal I want to take. But then at the same time, anything extra from that, if I need to eat, I'll eat it.
Appreciate that, Jake. Chad, what you got?
Yeah, man, it's basically the same for me. Usually I'm hitting 5 times a week, starting the end of December, beginning of January. Usually the first week or so, I'm just going off the tee, doing some flips sporadically, just to start to get the feel again. Usually don't get to BP stuff until like 2 weeks into it. But working out, it's usually 2 weeks after the season, I'll start doing some running, getting my body back in shape, and then start the workouts about a month out after. What else? Corrective stuff I'm using. What's up?
On your running, I mean, I probably did a poor job explaining this like earlier. I mean, you played every position on the field except behind the plate. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't pitched yet.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, that's probably to come at some point. But the point is what do you do? Long distance running? Do you believe in that, or it's more sprints?
Yeah.
How often?
Yeah, for me, it's both. Because it's 2 totally different things when you're running in the outfield and then when you're doing short bursts in the infield. So I try to do a little combo of both. And usually that's 3 or 4 times a week, whether it be, you know, a mile, 2 miles, or my sprint work. Our strength coach we have an app where he puts our workouts up. It's Monday through Friday. Wednesday's usually a corrective and a body maintenance day. Monday, Thursday is upper body. Tuesday, Friday is lower body. And then usually Saturday I'll do some type of conditioning and then take all Sunday off.
Would you do sprint work on a day you did lower body?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If it calls for that, like he'll have it before our workout, or you can do it after it. Usually it's like you do your cardio, you warm up, and then you can get into your sprint work and then you get right into your workout.
What about your nutrition?
I'm kind of the opposite of those guys now. I used to, man, like my first couple years in the minor leagues and stuff, it didn't matter. I wasn't putting weight on. So now I'm like, I do really well with my supplements, you know, my protein intake stuff. But if I eat like crap, you know, I just get too tired. Body just doesn't feel good. I don't feel like I recover as well. So I got to be smart about, you know, what I put in my body as far as like calories and different types of food.
Gotcha. I mean, if you don't mind me asking, I mean, can you run me down or just a brief example of kind of what you're doing? Is it high protein? Are you scared of fat, carbs, or is it?
No, I mean, I'm not scared of the fat or carbs. It's just the different processed stuff. And, you know, I can't lie, I love my Chick-fil-A. So, I mean, I do make time for that. But, like, I do have to be smart about that during the off season, during the holidays. You know, like,
Right.
Don't need to be showing up to camp, you know, out of shape. And this year was extremely important for me. I feel like on the conditioning side to mix it with the nutrition, because I've had some injury problems with my legs, and I think staying in shape and getting that extra running in will help me in the season.
The injury prevention part, yeah. Well, I appreciate, man. That was awesome. Broomy, again, so strength, agility, nutrition, and hitting. I know that, I mean, I've seen you in the gym in Fredericksburg. I mean, the size you put on it just over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. I know you work out hard, but I'm sure there's some nutrition involved in that. I also see you moving sleds on a regular basis. So just curious, you know, what you got for us on that stuff.
Yeah, man, I'm on the same schedule as these guys, obviously. On the hitting aspect, I like to incorporate high velocity machine work with a short bat just to keep it simple. Because when you put a short bat in your hands, you're pretty much point A to B.
How short?
What was that?
How short on the bat?
Oh man, probably 26 inch.
Wow. Okay.
It's light. So once you put that short bat in your hands, you're not making all the extra movement. You're simple. You're just boom, boom. Long tossing probably every other day right now because I'm coming off an injury last year in the Dominican and playing some outfield now. So just trying to keep my arm in shape, which is extremely important, especially for high school guys and college guys. I feel like that isn't really spotlighted enough as it should be because keeping your arm in shape is extremely important. So I'm doing that this year a lot. Also incorporating a lot of yoga too. Not only just moving weight, but I'm doing a lot of hot yoga because kind of like Chad, it's hard for me to keep weight off, if that makes sense. So like if I were to eat something, it takes a while for me to burn that off and it can accumulate over time. And the next thing you know, I'm fat. So right now I'm kind of doing a little intermittent fasting type deal because in the season, especially with the options we have at this level, it's like you could eat whatever you want, whenever you want. You have snacks on snacks. So it's tough, man. So I'm shedding weight right now and just trying to stay agile.
Appreciate. Awesome, man. That was some good stuff right there, especially that short bat thing. So you said it was what, 20, 28?
It's like a 26, 27. It's lighter. The main thing is light. So you're just simple with it.
Awesome. Joe, what you got, man? How are you?
Good, man. You know, it's kind of like all these guys, man. I really start everything mid-December, probably. For me, the weightlifting and agility starts early too. I like to kind of get in the gym a week after the season and kind of get things rolling. One of my big things in the weight room is agilities. It's huge for me. The running, like the sprint work, like I think that's something the past couple of years I didn't focus in on as much as I could have. And kind of led to an injury in spring training a year ago where I had a hamstring pull and an ankle that rolled. So, you know, that it's really a big part for me to get out and be able to do cuts and not just like straight running. I think that's like the misconception is a lot of guys go out and just, you know, work on 10 yards straight ahead or 60s or whatever it might be. Mine's big. I'm big on cuts, like turning, because like when you play a game, you're not just going to be going straight every time, especially as an outfielder. So that was like a big thing for me in the off season was to really do almost kind of like football style cone drills and just to keep it moving. Definitely on the grass. Like that's another thing, like getting outside and being an AZ now. You know, you can get out with cleats and just move around, just be in cleats and be able to feel the ground, the surface. And it's really helped a bunch for me. Nutrition wise,
I love your point on the side to side. I think a lot of kids, like you said, they think I'm going to run my sprint straight ahead, and like you said, I mean, it doesn't happen a lot in the game. Sorry for interrupting you.
100%. No, you're good. I'm a guy that like can keep weight on pretty good. I think at one point in spring, I think it was a year and a half ago, I was 233 pounds. So, I mean, you know, coming through high school, I was 180, 190 max. And so that's a decent amount of weight, and it's muscle. Because the way I'm built, like I can really put on muscle fast. So like that's another reason why getting the conditioning in and the sprint work is like huge for me, because it kind of helped me keep the muscle that I wanted, but not bulk the muscle.
Right.
So that was really important. And being an outfielder, I mean, you kind of want to watch that. You got to be able to move. And as many games as we play, it's definitely tough to have a bunch of extra weight.
And then hitting stuff.
Hitting wise, I'm sorry.
No, hitting like right now, pretty much doing what they're doing.
Yeah, pretty much now. I mean, I'm 3-4 days a week hitting. So I'll go in and I like the velo machine. It's really good because it just allows you to see that velo before you're actually in game setting. If you can't get a live arm or someone to throw to you, it's coming in clutch for me. Just being able to see 90 before you're in the game for sure.
Hey, this is a general question to all of you, and you can just give like a 5-second answer. How do you feel about seeing spin off of a machine?
I love it.
Like it?
I really, really like it.
Remy?
I'm all in.
B?
Same,
I'm all
man.
in on it.
It trains your eyes. Yeah, spin and just.
So all you guys, put the stamp of approval on breaking balls off of a pitching machine.
Absolutely.
100%.
I think breaking balls off the pitching machine, like for me, I like the fastball off the pitching machine only to get a visual on hard, being short, like Broomy said. But on the curveball machine, I feel like you can really like ride your backside out if that's something that you like to think about, and to me, it kind of helps with the overall swing and whole body. Whereas the high velo machine, to me, is like a visual short type thing. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think and I didn't know. I knew what your answer was, Kay. I think we talked about this a couple months ago, but I didn't know what all your other stances.
I used to hate it. I would say maybe
Right.
3 years ago, I would like hate if we had to do it in spring training. They were like, hey, we got a machine on the field. Like, this is dumb. Like, why are we doing this? Because I was like, I can't get my leg kick. I can, just stuff that I shouldn't have been worried about. And then you grow up and you start to realize that you should have been doing those things.
Well, Greg, we always
the
talk about
curveball
that.
machine is in my
Replicate
pregame.
spin. I mean, it's hard to replicate spin, not like a machine can, just over and over again, drop it in. And the way these settings are on these machines, I mean, some of these guys can maybe even see a big league slider, off of a machine. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of guys to go out there and spin those to these guys in a practice setting. So that's good stuff.
I got something, Jeff, real quick.
Yeah, please.
And I don't know if any of you guys have guys on your team. I think a lot of guys do this. We have plenty of guys on our team that they'll get on the velo machine and they'll start back at the plate, take 5 short, move up 5 feet, take 5 more, just being as short as possible, trying to hit like low line drive and be as short as possible. And the next thing you know, you're 15 feet from the machine, just trying to be quick. And then you work your way back. And by the time you get back to the plate, like it slows the ball down. Like it's incredible.
Wow.
Oh yeah. I got
a drill to adjust the velocity.
Yeah, I think so. And it helps you just stay short.
Never heard of that one. That's awesome.
I saw Carlos Beltran when I was young with the Yankees, and he was in spring training, and that was the first time I ever saw it. He got close. He got so close to this machine, and all he was doing was like dropping his back elbow, back knee, and barrel all at the same time. And he would just meet it almost like a check swing bunt to the ball. But he had to have been within 10 feet of this machine that was throwing fuzz. It was so impressive, but all he was worried about was how quick can I get from point A to point B. And then he would go back to home plate, and it was like he was hitting hanging changeups, like crushing them. It was crazy.
How hard do you think that machine was set if you were at the plate?
It wasn't obviously top speed, but like Chad's seen it too. Like it's like
when you get up there, it's
I would say it's still like 90 from home plate, but like when you get up close to it, it's like
100.
you have barely any.
I'd say, yeah, at least.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
well
That's
over.
really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about, guys. I mean, we just get to talking about some things. This wasn't even in the question. Start talking about a machine, then you share a drill that y'all have seen work at the big league level. We really appreciate it. I'll let Greg take this next question just around the round table.
Before we go to the next question, you guys are hitting 5-6 days a week. How much are you hitting in a day? You have a certain number of cuts, stay a certain amount of time, leave when you feel good.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me at least, I just focus really on the drill work aspect of the hitting. Like I only honestly take 25 swings, 30 swings max. Because most of my work's done basically on, the drill work or what my focus is for the day with my lower half and just going through some flips and feeling things out. And then I spend the last 25 swings or so hitting regular.
Can everybody answer that question? That's a really good question.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like if I'm not working on something specifically, if I'm not making a change, then like I'll go, 5 to 8 with this hand, 5 to 8 with this hand. This is all with the short bat too, like Broomy was talking about, 5 or so double. And then if that felt good, he'll go back and I mean, I might take 3, 4 rounds of 5 to 8 overhand. And if everything feels good, I want to get out of there because I can mess myself up. I could keep swinging. I could start thinking about things I don't need to think about. But if I can do a short, compact round where I did things the right way, my body feels better when I leave and my head's in a better spot when I leave because I'm not mentally exhausted. I'm not physically exhausted.
And sometimes it's literally a round of 2. You just go in for the last round, say, I'm going to take 5 more, and you take 2 swings, and they're great, and it feels right. And it's like, hey, I'm good.
I don't know about some of the other guys, but I've seen some really good hitters that hit all day. So, like, that's just me. Like, that's just my –
yeah, I'm actually really curious to hear what they say because, like you said, I mean, everybody's different for everybody, Chad?
Yeah, it definitely varies for me. Like, if I'm feeling good, I'm getting out. If I feel like something's a little off, I'm going to swing a little bit more, but I'm going to take my normal routine that I would take in the season if I'm not working on something specific. Like I'm going to take my 10 to 15 off the tee. I'm going to take my 3 or 4 rounds of probably 10 or so off flips. And then I'm going to try and get 4 rounds of 6 off live BP if someone's throwing. I feel like if I'm not working on something specific mechanically, then you can waste your time in there. And like Jake said, you're going to leave tired. Your body's not going to recover as well, and you can break down mechanically. So I think being efficient with your work and knowing what you need specifically for your swing to get ready for spring training or to get ready for the game, I think that's what you should be doing.
Remy?
These guys were spot on, man. Less is definitely more, especially in the season, because once you just continue to swing and swing and swing, not only is your body breaking down, but your mind is just wandering off. And that's the last thing that you need. If you have a bad couple rounds, the last thing you need is your mind to bring negative thoughts. In the off season, it's a little bit different for me. I kind of like to hit until I feel good. But like Joe was saying, my work is more drill oriented as well. Like I like to do the one hand. I like to do the quick pop that Carlos Beltran was doing. I like to just hit until I feel good because in the off season, you can have that, you have a little bit of breathing room for your mental to kind of wander off. In the season, it's a different story, but off season, I hit till I feel good. In season, I'm kind of less is more.
Love it. B?
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with a lot with Joe and what he was saying. Like a lot of what I'm doing is a lot of feel stuff, feeling my body move, making sure I'm in the right position. I'm not really focused on results for the first few rounds and stuff like that. Like I like to get in, get the drill work done, understand that, the body's going the right way. And then it might be, 3 or 4 rounds after that. And, you're calling it a day because once you're tired and you start taking tired swings, you're going to do nothing but mess yourself up.
That was awesome, guys. Everybody's answers were really, really good. Greg, I appreciate you asking that.
That was a good one. Next question. How do you gauge success now as a pro compared to when you were in high school or college? Is it your batting average or getting hits, quality of bats, or something else altogether? Start with Brandon again. Is that okay?
Yeah, Brandon.
Yeah. So my gauge is night and day. When I was in high school and college, and if I didn't get a hit, I was pissed. Like I thought I was going to go out there, I was going to get hit every single time, and if I didn't, I failed that at bat. First year of pro ball leveled me a little bit and told me that I wasn't as good as I really thought I was, and my thought process on what made a good at bat changed completely. Like I knew that now I'm sitting there looking at it, and if I have a quality at bat, if I go up there and I get my guy over, or I see a good amount of pitches where my guy that's on deck is going to have an easier at bat or something like that. Now my focus isn't all just about am I on base or did I get a hit? It's did I set up the team? Did I help the team out on that at bat? Did I do something to improve our position as a whole?
I love that. Jake?
Yeah. I mean, same thing. I mean, it took me a little longer. I was a hothead. I'm still kind of a hothead, but like there's a big difference now. I was lucky enough that when I got to the big leagues, I got to spend some time. I mean, these guys, all that have got big league time, have spent some quality time around a good veteran at some point. And Joe Mauer, I got to spend some time around the first year. And it's just like you see how these guys operate, and like you almost see what these guys do and how they operate and how they get mad at certain things. Nelson Cruz, like whatever, how they don't get mad at certain things. You start to see what these guys do, and like Brandon was saying, in game situations, like did I do something to help the team right there? And if I did something to help the team, then that's a positive. Another thing is, I used to get mad if I would hit a ball really hard at somebody, but I would get out. Thanks, Sonny. But when now, like sorry, my daughter came and gave. But so
she's a lot cuter than you.
A little bit.
Thanks.
But now I don't get I see how good, when you're, playing professional baseball, everybody's good. The pitchers are good. Everybody's competing. And if I were to hit a ball hard right at somebody, if I barrel something, that's all that you can do. So now that I used to get mad at all that stuff. And now I realize you can only really control certain things, and most of the game is out of your control. And, but if you play hard, and you compete at all times, and I really don't think there's anything to get mad at. Once you stop competing, then I think that you can get mad at yourself.
Yeah.
I think those two guys, they said it perfect. For me, kind of like Brandon said, when I was in high school, when I was in college, if it wasn't 2 hits, it wasn't successful, and I was upset. It wasn't a successful day. Excuse me. But then once I got to the big leagues, I started to not play every day, and I was in this platoon role, and I was a utility guy, and I was playing sporadic, and I had to change my mindset. It was more like, well, at what point in the game can I help the team in any capacity win, or even put us in a position to win, whether that be on the bases, at the plate, in the field. If I'm not playing, how can I make my day successful? Am I getting my work in the cage? Am I getting better during BP? Are there things that I can do that can make my day successful? So, I mean, night and day, your whole perspective of success in the game changes once you get to these higher levels. And I think these two guys said it perfect.
What's a true professional mentality? I mean, just the fact that you took that route. I mean, a high school kid's probably on this call that might not be in the lineup one day. And I know you're in the big leagues, right? It's different. You're getting paid to do it, but still, if they took the same mentality that you just said to take, it's going to probably result in something more positive than if they sit at the end of the bench and sulk. And it's just a really good mentality to have. I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah, and I also think people notice those things. People notice the little things. The higher you get, the more you're around baseball people, they notice when you're doing the little things that help the team win, the successful things like moving a guy over, like Brandon said, or a guy on third base with less than 2 outs. Am I getting him in? Did I help turn the double play? Did I make a hustle play in the outfield and cut a ball off to keep a guy off second base, keep the double play in order? I mean, those are things that can turn a game around. So, and people notice those things. You know, people who are important notice those things. So to focus on those things is important.
That's awesome. Remy?
Yeah, it's the maturation process, just like these guys said, man. It's at this level, it's basically, did you help that team in any way win tonight? Because when you guys are winning, your GM's not coming in looking to make a move. So that's essentially what it is. You just got to win, and you got to do whatever you can to help the team win. I think for the high school kid, though, a lot of things that can sometimes be overlooked is the way that they react and handle failure. And I think if I were to be a scout and I was going to look at a high school kid, the way he carries himself during failure or when he's not feeling so good, I think that shows a lot about a player. And I think that can sometimes be, you know, the final decision if a guy goes to this college or not. I think if they can handle failure, they're going to play this game for a while.
Love it. Joe?
Yeah, so I'm going to come at this from kind of a different angle. I think there's a lot of outside pressures, you know, travel ball kids playing, and especially, you know, the spring before the draft, you know, where, you know, you have scouts that, you know, might be coming in town, like whether it's college, you know, whatever it might be. You just feel like you should win every time, that you shouldn't get out, you know, that you should, you know, hit a homer a game. I mean, that's at least where I was at, you know, my senior year of high school. But I did feel that pressure, you know what I mean? I feel like that pressure is just like there, whether it's, you know, a PBR ranking, you know, perfect game ranking, whatever it might be, of like, hey, you know, I'm ranked, you know, whatever in the state, I should, you know, hit this guy out 3 times tonight. No, it's not realistic. You know, if you look at what the game of baseball is, I mean, it takes a lot to get a hit. I mean, I didn't realize it until I made my debut, and I'm out there and I'm like, man, it is a grind to get a knockout here. This is no joke. So, you know, obviously it's kind of the maturation process, like these guys are saying, of as you move forward with the game, you start to, you know, it humbles you in its own way, and you have your success, you know, and then it humbles you again. It's one of those things where you just have to go about it, look at it for what it is, grind hard, and know that it's not always going to be great. You're not always going to get a hit. You're not always going to, you know, hit a guy out. There's going to be guys that are going to beat you on the mound with stuff that you know you should be crushing. And that's just kind of how the game is. So definitely my first year of pro ball, like a couple of these guys have said, definitely brought me back down to reality of like, we're all pros out here trying to get after it and trying to get right. And it's just more of a go out and compete mindset than here's what my numbers have to be.
I like it. And that's coming from somebody that was just in high school, 3 years ago? That's true, right? Haven't you?
Something like that. Ago? What is it, 2021? Oh, has it been 4? I don't know.
I'm going to throw a little curveball here. There's some people asking some questions, and I just, you know, we have our questions that I gave you guys, but so this one, Ethan Marsh just asked, how much videoing do you guys do during the off season? And that can be a quick answer. I mean, you go into it as deep as you want. I mean, there you go, Brandon. So you do 0 videoing in the off season.
Yeah, I don't do any video. It's all feel stuff at this point. You know, I want to feel myself getting to the right position. I'm really not focused on, you know, what the Rapsodo says. If I hit that ball 410 or 40 feet, you know, I want to make sure that I'm in the right position, and I want to be able to feel that, because in the season, I want to be able to understand what I'm feeling.
Right. What about you guys? Videoing during the off season?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit?
Like a little bit as in like super, like we're talking like on my iPhone. Like today, for instance, like I'm not doing it all the time, but like I got like I'm hitting and I felt something one round. I felt like I was early, like I wanted to be. So I got out of the cage, and there was a kid with one of the younger teams. I was at the cage. I asked him, I was like, hey, can you video for a little bit? And like the first swing, I felt like I was early. I hit the ball well. I thought I took a good swing, and I was like, cool. And I had like one swing on my phone, you know, that I can, and it's from the side that I can look at, just like, sure, I don't know, tonight or whatever. I'm just messing around looking at my phone, and you know, instead of dry swinging in front of the mirror at the house that I'm doing all the time, now I can like look at my phone and be like, oh, cool. Like that's kind of where I want to be. Whereas in the season, it's way more like sophisticated, like video and stuff like that. But right now, it's really just like, if I feel something, I might want it on video, and then so I can just like look at it and remind myself, like tomorrow when I'm in the cage and I'm not doing it right.
Chi?
Yeah, I'm the same way. First week, I won't do any videoing. I'll just do my T work. And then once it flips, all I want to do is compare where I'm at to make sure everything I was doing at the end of the year, just to make sure I didn't pick up any bad habits, anything. And then sporadically through the off season, I will just do that. I'll get a little side video just to make sure it's the same exact thing. And then, like Jake said, once you get to the season, once you get to spring training, getting live at bats just to make sure things are staying the exact same. It's nothing crazy, nothing like over analytical, just making sure things line up.
Right. Okay. Broomy?
Yeah, because sometimes feels for me personally can be a little bit different from reality. So I'll do a little bit of a video just to make sure my path is clean and my hands aren't, at the ceiling and they're still being quick and short to the ball. So
Jeff?
Yeah, I video every time. It's kind of crazy, but I do take, short clips and really the only thing I'm looking at though is what I'm working on for the day. So if it's like, my back leg, like today I went in the cage and I was working on not getting too far over my back knee, so I was just like looking at the knee in a couple of videos and then kind of moved on from there. Just kind of gives me like a way of like seeing it and like knowing, hey, this is what I'm feeling and this is what it looks like. Because I'm more like visual. So I kind of have to like, if I'm working with one of my coaches and he says something about a move, I want to be able to kind of look at it with him and be like, okay, like this is where you're at right here and this is how we move forward. But I don't do it to the point where I'm looking at every single swing and going, oh, what happened here? It's not result oriented. So I'm not like going in and saying, oh, I rolled this ball over. I'm looking at the actual swing itself. So I'm saying, okay, this swing right here was actually really good. The result might not have been because I might be early or late or whatever, but this is the right type of move. And then I move forward from there.
So all these questions, all these answers were awesome. And it kind of tees up one of the questions we had. And Lowe, he kind of touched on it a little bit. Do you guys, how much do you value data and technology that's in the game? We're going to try to get all these questions, guys, but we're just doing the best we can. But if we could go in order with that, I'm curious.
I mean, I value it to an extent. I love seeing, what the pitcher has, the scouting reports and that, and, understanding what the pitcher has and stuff like that. But, I had something come up to me saying, would you like to know if that pitch that you got out on was statistically a good pitch? And at that aspect, I was like, no, I don't want to know if it got me out, it was a good pitch. Like I can move past that. I don't want to dwell on if that pitch was good or not. And, there's a lot of things that you can get kind of overwhelmed with all the statistics in the game. And I really try to lay it down to, exit velo off the bat and, what the pitcher has, try to keep it as simple as I can up there at the plate. If I hit the ball hard, chances are I'm going to get a hit.
I love that. Jake?
Yeah, he hit the nail on the head right there at the end. Like I really value exit velocity. But because to me, I mean, I don't know, you're really gauging, if you got a pitch that you wanted to hit, you swung at a pitch you wanted to hit and you took your swing on it, you're going to have a high exit velocity. I think if you're a good hitter, so I like the exit velocities. The other stuff, I don't really pay attention much. He said some of the pitching stuff I don't always understand, to be completely honest. There's a lot of stuff they throw at you, and there's a lot of binders that they're flipping through with a lot of pages, stuff that I don't necessarily always understand. So I still kind of like the old, I don't know if it's old school now or whatever, but like the boards that basically just show what the guys got for the day, starting with the top pitches, what he uses the most, and then goes down. That's what I look at the most. I want to know what his best pitch is, what his top velocity is, because that's what you always have to be ready for, in my opinion. And then kind of gauge off that, unless he's got like a glaring. I like the stats that show now percentages of what pitchers will throw in certain counts and stuff like that. To me, that's cool, like stuff like that. But there's a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily understand, but I like it to an extent.
Yeah, I think there's an abundance of data and there's a ton of analytics and there's numbers for everything now. And I think there's value in all of it, but if you get caught up in all of it, you're going to get lost in it. And I think if you, like these guys said, they picked out a few things that they really like and they know is important to them, And for me, I agree with both of them. For me, exit velo is one of my favorite things to look at, because if I'm hitting the ball hard, that means I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Another one that I like to look at is like my chase percentage. If I'm chasing balls out of the zone, and like Jake said, I love to know what the guy has and what his percentages are on those pitch. Like what is he going to? What is his highest velo pitch, and then what is his out pitch? Like, and then other than that, like I feel like if I dive too much into those numbers, I can get lost in them, and you're looking at numbers that you may not even understand.
Right. So, you're not. So far, three guys have spoke. And if you get in the cage and there's a Rap Soto thing where there's an iPad results, you're not tilting your head over there every swing and looking to see what the heck it was, you know. And I can pretty much guess that the next two guys are going to say the same thing.
Can I add a little bit?
Sure, please.
What you just said is actually something that I'm doing kind of currently. So I never had the Rap Soto, the hit tracks and stuff like that, and we have them now. And talking about that exit velocity, me, another one of my buddies, Tyler Austin, and a guy named Juan, who's in the Royals organization now. But we hit together, and at the end of the day, it'll show your average exit velocity. Right. And Tyler Austin's and Juan's, their top might be 111, and my top might be 105. But like our averages, you can look at the average, and like my average was like 6 off from my top, and their average was like 6 off from their top. So like I know that for what I do, my average, what I was consistently hitting the ball in the barrel that whole round of BP,
right?
Which is essentially what I think your thoughts really should be most of the time. Mm-hmm. So I never had any of that stuff, but I do kind of like having it. It's not something that you have to have. Like you can 100% get your working without it. I do most of the time, but to have it every once in a while to be able to kind of track how you're hitting the ball, I think is actually pretty cool sometimes.
No, I agree. And I'm not trying to get too far off track, but I think when I see high school kids that they're looking at it every swing.
Well, trying to hit it out, like, because you
use it as a tool of,
yeah,
I'm here and this is where I want to be. And maybe you're working on bat speed. Matter of fact, someone asked that question about bat speed. I hope we can get to it. That's stuff that's valuable data. But Broomy?
Yeah, I just look at the heat map to see what fastball I'm going to see that night, whether it's a turbo sinker or a 4-seam with ride. Got to know that. Also, a big thing that I picked up on is like watching video of the pitcher before the game, because a lot of times these guys, especially when they get in crunch situations, are going to do the same type of tendency. So if a guy with a man on second comes set at his chest and throws a fastball and then comes set at his belt and it's a slider, there you go. You know what pitch is coming. So I think that's huge for guys, especially at the younger level, to watch the game, watch the pitcher. You'd be surprised what kind of information they give.
Joe?
Yeah, no doubt. I'm just like these guys with it. I look at the scouting report. So basically my only thing is I look at the 2 top pitches. So that's something that I started last year of just focusing on the 2 highest percentage of pitch that's thrown. So say this guy's fastball and sliders, just 1 and 2, right? He's got a change up and maybe a curveball down at the bottom. I'm really focused on the top 2. And then I work from there. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to go out and compete. And, that's how I've always been. I've been a guy that's, keep it simple. Just go in, find your rhythm, do your thing. I know I've definitely had days where I've gotten way too much info and it affected me on the field. From, the standpoint of, when he does this, he throws a fastball here, or, this is, when he makes this move, he's throwing the cutter. Like that stuff doesn't work for me personally. Now there's plenty of guys that are. I mean, Trouty, I think, is one of the best guys at picking that out. I mean, Trout will sit there, it will be 5 pitches in the game, and he'll be like, when he steps like this, he's throwing curveball. When he does this, fastball's coming. I'm not the type of guy that needs all that info. So a lot like what these guys are saying, I think it's good to have around you if you want the additional info. But I think for me, at least, simple is better. I go out and perform and, see ball, hit ball type deal.
Love that. So this is what we're going to do. We're getting so many questions coming through. And I just want to try to get to them as best as possible. I've seen it done this way. So I'm just going to ask this question and just one of you grab it. If one of you if it jumps out at you and it hits you, grab it, and then we'll just kind of go around. What type of drills do you suggest for improving body rotation and power for developing a teenager? if someone has something that they think could help developing a teenager's power and body rotation, something jumps out that's simple, that could be explainable. Does anybody want to take a stab at that?
I actually have something that kind of worked for me personally on it, but
again,
I've always had like
you're not that far from your teenage years.
I've always had like pretty fast hands or whatnot, but sometimes honestly, agility's really helped me with just like being able to rotate fast and get to the ball. It's crazy. Like, you know, this past couple of months, like I've really started to feel like my power's just gone up and I'm lighter than I've ever been. So I'm really feeling confident about that. It's something that's really just helped me be more explosive and quicker to the ball, I guess, during a swing.
Okay. And
I got something on that.
Please. I was just getting ready to. Yeah.
Just one thing that comes to mind, that stuff that we do in our workouts, that it's a rotational exercise that definitely helps with your power and your fast twitch muscles, is like med ball twists and med ball throws, those types of things. I'm sure these guys have those in their workouts from time to time. I think that definitely helps with the rotation and getting explosive.
When you're saying just grabbing a med ball, throwing it off of a wall, right?
Yeah,
how many times?
Ball, like if you YouTube med ball side toss and med ball hip toss, and I mean, that
translates, right?
Yeah, it translates, of course. I mean, all golfers do it, all baseball players do it, softball players, all rotational athletes do these med ball drills for a reason. So I think that translates into this question.
I mean, I can do them through the swing.
Go ahead.
No, Broomy, go ahead.
No, I was saying I even do it through the swing. That's all I was saying, is like, you know, you get your stance. I mean, I've had, you know, a couple of days this week where I've actually, you know, gone through the motion of a swing, you know, trying to, you know, work on that type of stuff. So
with the med ball?
Oh yeah, like med ball at my back hip, and like you like moving through like a swing almost.
Got it. Broomy, what were you about to say?
Yeah, it's going to naturally put that kid in good position with his lower half as well. He's going to crease his back hip, get off his front leg, like stabilize that front leg. So when you grab a med, throw it as hard as you can against a wall. That's technically how your body's supposed to work when you're hitting.
So I've been doing a lot of four sets of 10 every day. I mean, every day you go into the gym, would that be harmful, helpful, too much?
We don't do them every day.
Okay.
You know, I'd say 2 times a week it's in our workout.
How many sets, if you don't mind me asking, in reps?
It's usually like 4 of 8 on each.
Yep. Okay. That's good. That kind of turned into a good one.
I honestly think, though, too, I think these guys will agree to it, too. There's a lot of things that we do that are prep stuff that you can do every single day that involves 0 weight. And when I feel rotational, when I've been doing like sideline 90-90, these guys, like a lot of that kind of stuff, my body is better rotational and I feel like I have more power without doing anything that involves lifting any heavy weights.
Yep.
It's like yoga type stuff. And I mean, I know like high school kids aren't really doing yoga and stuff like that, but there's a lot of different positions and stuff that you could take from it, twisting stuff that I think honestly
should. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like,
why can't high school kid do yoga? It's flexibility, right?
Yeah. Like Chad was saying, you might only do football stuff a couple times a week, but I mean, those stretch and stuff you can do every day. Yeah.
Like the T-spine rotation stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
All the
like the hand on your, and you like do like the side, like opens up your rib cage and stuff, like all that. I mean, that's why those guys who aren't the biggest and stuff like that, like Brandon, can go oppo and stuff like that, you know, if you got that rotation.
At any time.
in the World Series. Yeah. This question, with the amount of swings, all you guys kind of touched on this when you spoke about not taking a lot of swings. Broomy did kind of say that in the offseason he'll swing, you know, he's not afraid to amp it up a little more. This question was, with the amount of swings, does that also apply to younger kids, or should it be more? I think if I'm the way I took it is, I would say younger too, right? I mean, a young kid, a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old, they get, like Brandon said, or all you guys touched on this, you start getting tired, you start taking tired swings, right? I'm gonna let you guys, somebody grab this if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'll talk on this one if you don't mind. Like,
Yeah, great, please.
A big part of mine is like I'm not going to go in and I don't take 2 rounds of warm up swings where I'm swinging 50% and count those towards my swings. I have a bunch of drill work that I do beforehand with bands and a heavier bat or like a sledgehammer or something to kind of get everything moving and stuff like that, so I'm warm and loose to go. And then once I step in the cage, it is full go. I'm out there, I'm full intent to take my game swing that I'm going to take during the season in the cage at that point. So I'm not wasting any swings. I'm not getting in there to swing the swing. Each swing that I take has purpose and intent to increase and help me.
Makes sense. The next question, how often do you throw in the off season? So for like a high school kid, throwing in the off season, I know a lot, it's a hot button topic right here. A lot of people would say that these kids should shut down completely. And then some people will say that they throw throughout the winter and stuff. I mean, what do you guys got on that?
Yeah, I don't know an answer from a medical standpoint and what they're saying about kids with their growth and all this stuff. But I know personally that I'm throwing 5 times a week, and it's not long toss every time, but I'm throwing at least to 120 light, not hard, just getting my arm loose, getting ready for spring training, because we throw so much in spring training. If I don't throw during this time and I get to spring training and I start throwing all day, every day, infield drills, outfield drills, I'm going to be hanging. So I do need to get my arm in shape. So it's usually 5 days a week for me.
Do you shut down at all, or you just go?
Yeah, I do. I shut down. I didn't throw end of October, November, and then halfway into December. So, I mean, I took 2.5 months off, but once I get going, I slowly got to get throwing, 50 times.
Right. Okay. I'm going to jump to another question just to try to get these things.
They throw the football too.
Is that something that you do, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I like it. And I always thought it was like a myth, like throw the football, whatever. But we still, I don't know about their teams, but we still throw the football out there when we're going to do our agilities and like stretch like stuff before BP. And some of the pitchers throw it, some of the position guys throw it. And I feel like if I'm throwing the football, especially right now, I don't really feel like, I'm doing like a throwing program. I'll throw baseball sometimes, and like today's the day, at the end of the day at the gym, me and my trainer went out through the football like 20 times. And I mean, like just anything to keep that, kind of like Chad said, we throw so much in spring that if you don't do anything leading up to it, you might get injured.
So you legit think throwing the football, that's not a myth. Like that does develop arm strength.
I mean, it feels good for me. I can genuinely tell when I've thrown the football for a couple of weeks, I pick up a baseball and start throwing it. I don't have any shoulder issues. I feel like I have something else behind it. But
right.
That's me. Yeah.
I like that. Joe, I'm going to give this one to you, and then the next one I'm going to give to Ryan. Joe, how do you protect your arms during the off season? Ryan Anderson asked this question. How do you protect your arm during the season? During the season.
Well, I think this was something when I got called up, I had to kind of, take the workload down a little bit. But I'm kind of a busy guy, so I have to get on the field and really get going, get loose, do my whole deal, and throw the bases and do all that. I've actually done that 3 days in a row during a series. But honestly, like, you just have to limit how much you're throwing. I think one of the things is
in season, you're saying limit the amount of throwing that you do.
This is like position wise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me personally, I try to, just because like if you add up all the throws throughout a game, especially like a 9-inning game, like you throw in between innings, if you get 2 plays that night, 3 plays, we got to throw a guy out. You're throwing from, the warning track all the way to third base or whatever it is. I mean, you do make a lot of like long throws. So I think for me personally, I just try to keep my arm loose every day, keep it like ready, but I don't try to do too much throwing. I mean, I might get loose right before, BP or whatnot, and then, chill, not throw right before the game, and then just go out and take the field, because I'm going to get a couple of throws in between innings, and then, the game starts or the inning starts or whatever.
Just piggybacking off this is something high school kids can access, and kids coming through, like band work and stuff, guys. I mean, you guys recommend that stuff during the season? I mean, that help you keep your protecting your arms during the season? Y'all believe in that?
Definitely. And I also think that after you're done strengthening your arm with bands and overhead press, I think all that stuff is great. But you also need to stretch it, man. You need to hang on a pull-up bar or do something like that. So you're strengthening along with like elongating the muscles around. So it's not just tightening up on you. That's what I found for me has been super beneficial. No arm.
That's the bands you're saying.
Yeah, you do the band.
And then you said grabbing a pull-up bar and stretching it out too.
Yes, just hang on there for whatever 30 seconds at a time. It's
and that's something you can do.
And there's like studies about that, Broomy, that like people have had like bad shoulder injuries and started hanging like regularly and like have come back.
It's changed my life, man. I'm telling you.
Right. Yeah.
Even like
if I missed this or anybody said this, but for us during the season, we have once a series, we have arm care with our training staff. So we're always doing arm care, whether it be bands or med ball stuff or weighted ball, all that stuff. So that's
pretty cool. We don't do that now.
Yeah, I actually kind of like weighted balls. So like for me, I used to pitch. I used to be a primary pitcher, like coming through high school before I was a hitter. And so like I would do, I was used to the weighted ball routine because I'd done it since I was in high school or whatnot. Now I'm kind of going a little bit lighter on it, but I definitely do them to get loose. So I'll have the 2 pound and the 1 pound, doing like arm exercises or whatever, just to feel a little weight on my shoulder or whatnot, just to keep the blood flowing.
Well, I mean, I think the walk away is there's guys in the big leagues that are doing bands, they're doing weighted ball stuff, they're doing stuff on a daily basis to for arm prevention or injury prevention on their arm during the season. Harris Craven, I'm gonna give this to you, Ryan. Do you have any tips on recognizing an off-speed pitch early and reacting to it?
I don't know if I have any tips, but I do have a suggestion that it's all about repetition, man. That's why I do a ton of machine work, a ton of slider on the machine from every angle, left-handed, right-handed, because once you engrave it in your brain, you'll naturally react in a game. So it's all about, for me, repetition. So the more reps you can get, the more your brain will recognize without you even knowing, and you just let your swing go.
So you believe that for you, seeing those sliders and curveballs off the machine, just tons of reps, you're recognizing it and not even really knowing it is what you're saying. And that's another question I like to piggyback off of that. I mean, do you really have time to, as hard as these guys are throwing, Chad, do you really have a lot of time to be up there, guessing and or whatever? Or you sit on pitches or?
I do sit on pitches.
Yeah.
When I'm going good and I feel good and I'm confident and I've seen a guy before and I know the tendencies just by what he's done to me prior, there are times where I do sit on pitches. And it's not all the time and it's not a lot because, I'd say 95% of my, at bats, I'm looking for a heater, middle, and adjusting a ball off in on that and a ball away from it. Because if it gets outside of that, then you're on the black and you're not hitting those pitches anyways. And if you're looking middle heater, then you can react to the off speed. Because if you're ready for the heater, you can see the curveball, adjust the changeup. But there are times where I do sit on pitches.
Great. Appreciate that, guys. That was good stuff. Let's see. Brandon, if you're willing to grab this one, can you recommend a few drills to improve bat speed?
That one's pretty difficult. I feel like the biggest thing for me that's helped me grow in that kind of aspect is just the weight room and get in the weight room. I wish my dad would have forced me into the weight room when I was younger and stuff like that. Can't credit enough to, how much that has helped me as a player. I think it's a big reason that's helped to grow my game.
So you think the weight room?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you I don't think I've ever sat there and said, I'm doing this drill to increase my bat speed. I know that the heavy bat, light bat, regular bat thing used to be a thing when I think I was when I was in high school, but I mean, that's
right.
I honestly had no drills. I was hoping you wouldn't get that one to me.
Well, does somebody else have something that has worked for them? Because some of you guys, and no offense to you, what works for you works for might be different for somebody else.
I mean, for me, a couple things. I mean, it really all goes back to the weight room. Like it truly does. I mean, we talked about like the med ball hip stuff. Like a lot of the hip exercises and like quick twitch stuff that I've been doing and have done for years now has really kind of built the foundation, to have my body like want to move faster. So like that's really what I've gotten out of it, is just like a quick twitch all around and just being able to explode. I mean, there's times in the gym where I'll do, band around my hip, like connected to a pole or a stand or something, and really just work on like exploding out both directions. And even doing that, even though it's not a swing or it's not, your hands aren't moving or whatever, your lower half and your body's getting used to like generating faster.
Right. Well,
so you end up
the med ball thing. It's
absolutely, yeah,
right.
Back to the med thing. So that really like gets you to where you're learning quick twitch. That was something that I was kind of glad that like I learned kind of early on, was how to work those muscles and kind of what to do. So
what about you, any of you three that didn't get this? I'm just curious because this is a good one. I mean, a lot of people are soul searching to increase bat speed, and I got to tell you, I mean, with the data that's out now, it hasn't helped some high school kids, because I feel like they just chase those numbers and they start taking bad swings and such. But I am curious though, if any of you have any drills. Do the weighted bats? I mean, does anybody believe in that stuff, or you guys just think it's
the weighted bats for a different reason? I don't
bat
think,
speed.
Yeah, I don't think that's it.
Think
really, I mean, if you're swinging a heavy bat, those aren't fast twitch muscles. You're
right.
So
that's
a tough question. That's a tough question.
I think there are if bat speed is a glaring thing, then that's something that needs emphasis on. But I know as far as me, like, and I'm sure with these other guys too, talented dudes, they bat speed wasn't really a lacking thing. It was other things I needed to learn. It was pitch recognition. It was path. It was how can I utilize my lower half so that my hands will be faster. Stuff like that. Like they said, I mean, I guess weightlifting, being stronger, you're going to be able to swing the bat faster or harder. But other than that, I think there's other things that if you clean up with your swing, you learn your swing, I think you will swing your bat faster.
Like being on time.
Is your back more advanced stuff, but like is your back elbow moving correctly so your back can come through the zone? Like there's stuff that goes with bat speed that I think is more than just doing stuff to try to swing the bat faster.
Sure. Yeah, well, I appreciate it, guys. Let's see. This is just a general question. When should you start weightlifting? Like what age? I have Greg, what do you think on this? I mean, you've been teaching PE for a long time. What do you think?
Usually when the kid, you can start off light and learn technique. And as you get a little bit older and, the old saying, you get up where you're maturing and you're getting some face hair, it's about time to start lifting a little heavier. But as a kid gets into high school, he needs to learn technique. And then as he starts to mature a little bit, he can start doing it and do it right.
Maybe you think an eighth grader can get in the gym and try to learn technique, or is that too early?
I don't think every eighth grader is alike. They're all mature at different points. You got the 6'2" eighth grader and you got the 5'1" eighth grader. So I think more body weight stuff at that age until they get where they can handle it a little bit. Like these guys were talking about bat speed. When you get strong and you put all the pieces together in the right chain, that's where bat speed comes from, right, guys?
100%.
Yeah.
So this question came across from two different people, basically the same question, and it'd be cool for all of you to answer it. It might be kind of a similar answer that you already gave it earlier in the night on one of the other questions. But he said, I coach a group of 16-year-old players. If you could tell your 16-year-old self any piece of advice, what would it be? So basically, you could meet with your 16-year-old self right now. What would you tell him, Brandon?
I'd probably be, I'm looking at that question above it too. I think the two things would be, I think the big things, get in the weight room, and really, really take school seriously. Like I couldn't tell you how many doors closed because of a GPA. And I really think that was a big focus, and something that should have been more of a focus when I was younger.
I couldn't agree more on the schooling part. Because, if you don't have the grades, then the door's shut.
And I mean, I wasn't a terrible student by any means, but it just, some of the schools and stuff like that, I mean, you just can't get into. So, I mean, don't shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, if there's no reason to. I mean, I had one college offer, and I couldn't tell you how many other doors were probably shut because coaches probably looked at the GPA and said, we can't get him anyway. Right.
No, that's a huge one. And that's one that I hear all the time at coaches' clinics all the time is the grade stuff. Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's tough. I would say a lot of it would be like Brandon said, number one, be weight room stuff. I think, like, looking back at it now, I don't know how much of a better player would have made me, but I think it would have made me a little healthier. Like, I had some injury things at the beginning of my minor league career, and not necessarily all of them were because I wasn't in good shape or anything like that. But, I didn't know much about like mobility. I didn't know much about like, nutrition. I didn't know about like all these different types of things that I wish I did know. Taking care of my body better, sleep, that kind of thing. Cause that kind of stuff. I mean, that's the biggest advice I would give. There were times where I would tell myself that I was a little crazy, but to be honest with you, I would much rather try to reel somebody back in than try to get them going. So I'm happy that I always had that fire to play and stuff like that. But there were times where I think that I let my, anger might have got in the way of some development stuff because I was thinking of things the wrong way and getting angry at certain things, kind of along the lines of that question earlier about how I would gauge success.
Right.
And that kind of.
And that's just maturity. But if, when maybe there's a high school kid on here that can try to dial that back, and it'll help them. Chad, when you answer this question, and this is, our brains don't go to this place a lot of times when these questions get asked, but speak about social priorities. There's a lot of distractions out there right now for kids. I'm probably more so. How old are you now?
28.
28. Yeah. So, 10 years ago you were a senior. There's more distractions now than there were when you were a senior, and there were plenty when you were, coming through. So maybe speak to that part.
I will. I'm going to say something first, and I will definitely speak on that. For me, it's 100% the weight room, and it would be to listen to my pops, because time and time again, when I was younger, my dad was like, we need to get you in the weight room. We need to get you a little bit bigger. Because, I was in senior year in high school, I was 155 pounds, I just never went in the weight room. I never took it seriously. I was just like, rather go play basketball, which was great. And I'd rather just go take ground ball hit. But I wish I did take that seriously then. As far as the social stuff, there's just so many different distractions pulling you in different directions, whether that be Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and I'm 28 years old, and I don't have any social media. I have Snapchat, and that's it. I don't do Instagram. It's just, there's so many distractions. The higher you get, the further you get, so many things pulling you in different directions. I think, especially with these young kids, it's a different generation with all the technology that's available to kids. It's easy to get caught up. So, just be careful what you're putting out there. And for me, it's not worth it. Like, it doesn't mean to my life. I'm happy with my family and playing ball, and that's just a personal choice for me.
I like that. Broomy, what you got?
No, I just think it's easy for a kid to get caught up in, this kid's ranked ahead of me, this kid's going to this school, or all of that stuff. And I think a lot of times it can bring you down as a player. But in the reality and in the long run, it's just you got to keep going, man. It's just the player that keeps on pushing forward and keeps on going that, keeps playing. It's pretty self-explanatory, but that's all I really have on the.
To go off that, I think it just ties in. Like, there's just a ton of negativity that can come from it. Like exactly like Broom, you said, man, like if you get caught up thinking and looking at the wrong things instead of focusing on yourself and how you get better, then it's not going to help you.
Right. Well, I mean, 76 people sitting here. I'm sure there's some high school kids on here. If they sat through this thing up to this point, an hour and 10 minutes, I mean, they're taking this thing seriously, but I guess you have to look yourself in the mirror. How seriously are you taking it when you have so much self-worth in what you're ranked or how many followers you have on Instagram, or if you're going to go, make a bad decision. But yeah, to hear it come out of your guys' mouth is a big deal. Joe, I'm gonna let you touch on that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not a roller coaster you want to ride. If you're on, let's say you're on Twitter or something like that, and someone's tweeting at you about how great of a game that you had, and then you go out the next day and it's not very good, and they tweet about that, then whether it actually you say it bothers you or not, it's still stuff that you just don't want to look at, and it's a distraction. So really, I've kind of backed down my Twitter usage. I definitely am on Instagram. I'm kind of like putting my stuff out there, and that's just kind of how I am. I'll just put it out there and let everybody see kind of what I'm going through day in, day out. But I'm not like on there like reading through and trying to figure out what so and so said about who's this beat writer, who's doing this and that. It's just not my deal. I'm on there, look at photos, put something out, and then I'm out. So that's just kind of like the way I go, but it can get you, it can, if you let the media, because the media, itself is a monster, especially when you're, talking about, playing at the level that we're at. It can get you, man. Like at any point in time, you had a bad game, some media personnel come up, you gotta filter yourself. So, but yeah, it's a distraction. You just have to filter that out and figure out what allows you to put the best version of yourself out there.
Appreciate that, Joe. We've got about a little bit more than 15 minutes left. I'm going to jump into some of the questions that we had to. How much do you guys think about mechanics while in an at-bat? This is a question that I really wanted to make sure we got asked, that all of you answered, because, I think kids a lot of times will get in an at-bat and or maybe overly focused on it. I'm just curious, what the feedback will be on that, B.
Yeah, I'm not really focused on any mechanics. Really, the only thing that I'm focused on is, am I on time? That's the biggest thing going through my head, is to make sure that I'm started, make sure that my leg lift, everything is on time.
Jake?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, zero mechanics is thought about at the plate. But, I mean, realistically, you're going to think about it sometimes. It's annoying sometimes because you're thinking about it when you shouldn't be thinking about it. But I know all the times where I've felt at my best, it's been, zero thoughts of mechanics. And I think that, that goes to show that really, when you're locked in, when you're in a groove, when you're doing everything you should be doing, you're not thinking of mechanics. And then sometimes you get out of that and you start thinking mechanics, when in reality it's, in my opinion, approach that really, approach, timing, that kind of stuff that really gets you where you need to be. So ideally thinking zero mechanics at the dish, but they creep in sometimes, and that's kind of part of the battle.
Right. Makes sense. Chad?
Yeah, for me, like you said, ideally zero. If I'm thinking about mechanics while I'm hitting, I'm in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in big trouble. I think more importantly, when you're going through a bat, it's about adjustments. Like Brandon said, with in my own time, if I take a swing and I just miss it and I just foul it off, I just foul it off into the right field stands. I know that I'm just right there. I'm so close. So I know I'm mechanically right. So now I just have to be just a smidge more on time. So I think thinking about those minor adjustments and not worrying about what your body's doing, because at the end of the day, your mechanic work, all that stuff is done. You've done that work. You've done your work in the cage. You've done your work during BP. And then when you get in the box, it's more about just getting to competing.
Awesome. Broomy?
No doubt. So instead of being mechanical, you want to be tactical. At least for me, that's how it works. Instead of thinking about how wide my legs are, how high my hands are, just think about taking the guy's fastball through the right center wall. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Love it.
Yeah, mine's the same as all these guys. I mean, you have your time to work on mechanics in the cages, way before you're on the field to play. So that's that place. For me, when I get up, I'm just thinking about rhythm. I move a little bit while I'm at the plate, like get my rhythm with the pitcher, and then let it eat.
So zero mechanics, being on time, and doing damage. That's what I heard across the board from everybody pretty much. Let's see. Someone said, is tee work more important than live pitching? It could be a quick.
Personally, I don't like tee.
Yeah.
I don't see value in a ball sitting there right down the middle. A lot of people use tee, but that's just a personal opinion on the matter.
Yeah, and coach says that all the time to our hitters. Again, you're not a big fan. Oh, you're not a big fan of the front of the underhand toss. Is that right, coach?
No, because nobody's throwing it to you underhanded when a game starts, and the ball's also moving, like Brandon says. So limited tee work, and the more you see it overhand and out of the hand, I think the better off you are. You agree, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I only really do like underhand if I'm doing a one-hand drill. Like if I'm doing top hand, bottom hand, that's the only time that I do flips. And then outside of that, if I have two hands on the bat, it's probably coming overhand at that point.
Anybody else? I'm curious what all three of y'all think about that.
Yeah, I like tee. I do tee every single day. But I do think seeing a moving ball is more important to answer that question.
Yep.
And I do both. I do underhand flips just to get loose. And then after I do my couple of rounds of that, I do standing overhand from the same position he do the flips. So I do get my overhand. So just get that extra velo on it. It's hard, it's crisp. And then I like to move into the machine from there.
Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I used to be a big tee guy. I used to do a ton of tee, and now I do zero tee, but that's not taking anything away from tee. I just thought that I was getting into some bad habits that when I started doing stuff from toss to start instead of starting on tee, it cleaned me up. But, Nelson Cruz is one of the best hitters in baseball, and I get to play with him, and he does tee every single day, hitting low line drives the opposite side off a tee, and then he goes out and hits 40 home runs every year. So, I mean, it's like, it's a feel preference thing, in my opinion. Yeah.
Bromie?
Yeah, obviously live pitching is way more important. But, I mean, I can see I don't do a ton of tee. I do probably do it every day, but it's very minimum, just getting loose type deal. But I see where it can be beneficial because you can actually put a ball in a certain quadrant and your body has to move properly to hit that ball consistently. But as far as that goes, I like to do just overhand stuff and a lot of machine work.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, pretty much everyone gave the answer. Live pitching or a ball moving is more important than tee work. Because of time, what I'm going to do is just go around. We're not going to have time to get to all these questions. And some of the questions that were asked, like nutrition, this was answered earlier in the panel. Someone also asked, see, the timing drills. There's also some timing drills that got given out earlier. We'll put this recording out at some point, and you'll be able to find those answers that these guys gave. Just if we go back in order in the way we started, just kind of a closing statement from everybody. Something brief, just some advice to these guys before we get going, before we close it out. B.
Biggest advice would be get in the weight room, get after it in there, listen to your coaches. They understand what they're talking about sometimes. And, don't focus on the outcome of one at bat, get back in there, get in there again. And, don't let one at bat affect the outcome of another.
Love that. Jake.
Yeah, I mean, biggest thing to me is, the old saying, you never know who's watching. I genuinely think that there's been opportunities that I've gotten And there's been things that I've been able to do because I've played the game a certain way. And I think that, you know, there's you never know who's watching. And I think a lot of people like to see people play the game the right way. You know, whether that's just doing whatever you can do to the best of your ability, playing as hard as you could possibly play, you know, within bounds and that kind of thing. I just think that's always important. So, you know, play as hard as you can at all times, if you can.
And you always do play hard. That's been a trademark for you since you were in high school. Always respected that. Chi?
Yeah, I love that, Jake. You know, play every single game like it's your last. Enjoy every moment that you have on the field. Enjoy every relationship that you come across on the field, whether it be with players, coaches. Those relationships last. I mean, look at this. We played with each other over 10 years ago. Played for Petty over 10 years ago. I mean, these are relationships that you keep forever, man. So just enjoy it. Have fun playing the game. It's the best game in the world. And if you're lucky enough to keep playing it, just hang on as long as you can and just enjoy it.
Love that, man.
Yeah.
Broomy?
Definitely. My biggest thing would be just don't let people put limitations on you. Don't let them create a false ceiling because you know you best. And that's it.
Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go touch on that a little bit. I mean, absolutely, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something. You know, part of my story is coming through. I was a pitcher because I had a good arm, and teams didn't want me to play for them because they said that, you know, you wanted to hit, we're not going to let you hit. You know, you're a pitcher. So, I mean, the big thing is don't let anybody tell you, you know, what you're going to be. You go out and get it yourself. You know, you do you. Stay in the weight room is a big one. A lot of the mechanical stuff that was talked about on this call had to do with, you know, bat speed, stuff like that. A lot of that can be fixed in the weight room. You know, so if you're a guy that, you know, wants to go and just get ground balls and then hit, but wants to, you know, improve in those areas, then, you know, the weight room is right there for you. But yeah, I mean, other than that, yeah, stay true to who you are, be yourself, and go out and play hard.
Well, guys, just speaking, you know, on behalf of us, I mean, I think it just says a whole heck of a lot that you all gave an hour and a half of your time to a bunch of people that you don't know. And, you know, when someone gives their time and tries to help somebody and they don't get any, you know, you're not getting anything out of that. That says a lot about, you know, y'all's character. It means a lot to us. The relationships that Chad talked about, guys that come through and play. I mean, I consider you guys family, and just really appreciate, you know, you guys giving this advice. And we really wish you guys the best of luck this season. We love you guys. And I'm gonna let these guys get off. And again, guys, I'll have the recording out at some point for people that missed it. Thank you so much. Coach, you got anything?
That was great, guys. I really enjoyed it. You guys were awesome. Good luck.
So awesome. Thank you.